If you're like most people, you've got amazing goals. You've got things that you really want to accomplish. But how many times have you set a goal and then fallen unbelievably short of the goal? How many times have you said to your spouse, if you're an entrepreneur, executive, or owner, how many times have you said to your spouse, I'm going to be home at 6 o'clock every night for dinner? And before you know it, you're coming home at 10 o'clock 4 times a week. How many times have you said, hey, I'm going to spend my Saturday mornings playing with my kids? But before you know it, you're spending your Saturday mornings in front of your computer, dealing with spreadsheets and P&Ls and statements to the bank. How many times have you told yourself that this is the year I'm going to lose 10 pounds? It can't be that hard. And at this point in the year already, you have gained 10 pounds. And you're like, what in the world? You're moving backwards. How many times have you said to your team, hey, we are going to implement this thing. We're going to put this in place. It is going to be a standard. It's going to be clear. Everyone's going to do it. Couple weeks, couple months, maybe a year later, nobody's doing it, and everyone's laughing at the fact that you said everybody was going to do it. How many times have you said that you were going to take your personal development seriously, that you were going to read more, that you were going to spend more time meditating and praying and attending church or whatever, and before you know it, you're busier than ever. Your schedule is jam-packed like it's never been before, and you can't find your way out of it. And for some reason, reading books, that's not even part of your routine. Praying whenever you can. How many times have you set a goal and said, this is what I want to do. This is the ideal version of myself. I know it. Other people can do it. Why can't I do it? How many times have you set a goal only to fail? Today, I want to start with something that most leaders get completely wrong. Most people get this completely wrong. Your goals didn't fail. Your system did. That's not a small distinction. That is the entire conversation. Think about it. The last time you set a goal that you didn't reach, we were just talking about it a second ago, you probably blamed yourself. You probably put your head on the pillow at night and you said, it's my fault. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not focused enough. I don't have enough follow through. If I was just like Ed Milet, or if I was just like The Rock, or somebody that you're thinking that's more disciplined than you, then this would have been different. But I'm going to ask you a different question. What was the system behind your goal? Because here's what I know. After working with leaders for years across 27 countries with branches, the goal is never the problem. Every great leader has great goals. They spend time thinking about exactly what they want to be, what they want to become. They're dreaming, they're scheming, they're trying to create this version of themselves that's going to help solve the world's problems or solve their company's problems or solve their personal problems or solve their family's problems, whatever. The absence of a structure to support the goal, that was the problem. And motivation? Motivation is great, but motivation is not a strategy. Motivation is an emotion, and emotions are unpredictable. You can't build a consistent life on an inconsistent feeling. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why goals collapse, what the leaders who actually execute are doing differently, what they're doing that you would love to do, and how to turn any goal you have, great goals, right now into a system that runs even when you don't feel like it. That's what we're going to do today. Let's get started. Okay, so what do leaders who actually execute do differently? It comes down to really just 3 things: direction, rhythm, and measurement without emotion. Element number 1, direction over destination. Now, destination thinking asks, what do I want to achieve? But direction thinking asks, who do I want to become on the way there? That is a huge shift that changes everything. And I've seen it change people all over the world, because a destination, that can be taken from you. A goal, this is what I want to accomplish, an objective, that can be taken from you. When the market shifts or a deal falls through or a timeline changes. But if you're oriented by direction, here's who I want to become along the way. By choosing the kind of leader that you are becoming along the way, no external circumstances can knock you off your course. Let me give you an example of direction over destination. It's from the Houston Comets. Now, some of you who are basketball fans might remember that name, or some of you are WNBA fans, you'll know the name Houston Comets. But here's the thing. They had an amazing player on their team named Sheryl Swoopes. Now, Sheryl Swoopes was absolutely incredible. She was an MVP. She was dominant in the league. She did an amazing job bringing her team to 4 straight WNBA championships. It was unbelievable. Now, here's the thing. If you were Sheryl Swoopes and your destination was to be the greatest player for the Houston Comets that there ever was. Well, I mean, gosh, that's something that she actually kind of accomplished. She actually got there. She was one of the best that they ever had. But here's the problem. The Houston Comets, they completely disbanded in 2008. The team doesn't even exist anymore. And so if your goal was to have your name in the rafters and have these championship banners and have all these people understand and remember who you were because you want to be the greatest ever, well, good luck now that the team is completely defunct. The truth is, if she would have made it, and I don't think she did, but if she would have made her destination her number one primary driver, then she'd be unbelievably disappointed right now. She'd be left with nothing, right? Well, who am I and what did I accomplish? And the team doesn't even exist and no one even remembers me. But if she would have chosen direction, which I believe she did, I want to be the best basketball player I possibly can be. I want to grow. I want to get better every single day on my way to getting this championship. But her direction, her development is the most important thing. I want to inspire a generation of young girls to play basketball. If her goal was direction, well, she can say that she accomplished it and no one can take that from her. The team can be defunct, the WNBA can be insolvent, whatever. She still accomplished her goal. She became somebody along the way. That's the difference between direction and destination. Here's the big question. If you never reach the specific goal that you're chasing, would the person you're becoming in pursuit of the goal, would that person still be worth it? If the answer is yes, then you've got a direction. If the answer is no, you're not going to like the kind of person you're becoming in the process, well, then you're just chasing a number. Element number 2, weekly execution rhythms. Now, here's the truth for you and for me. The year does not make you. The week makes you. Every leader that I've ever seen sustain meaningful progress over time has some version of, get this, a weekly execution rhythm. There are non-negotiable blocks of time where they review, where they plan, and then they recommit. This isn't a monthly thing. This isn't a quarterly thing. This is a weekly thing, a weekly rhythm to guide their days. One of my favorite quotes is from Annie Dillard, and she says this. She says, how you spend your days is how you spend your life. And so making sure that you use that weekly rhythm to watch those 7 days and to make sure within that 7-day time frame, you're doing exactly what you know you need to do to get to the goal that you believe you have to chase. Because a month is too long to drift without correction. And honestly, a day is too short to see the pattern. But a week is almost a perfect unit of execution that actually works. A weekly rhythm is not a planning meeting with yourself. It's a leadership practice. It's the moment you step out of the work and then you look at the work. 30 minutes of an honest weekly review will do more for your progress than any goal-setting retreat. It's all about consistency. And the truth is, for you and for me, that consistency is not sexy, but it's the only thing that compounds. A leader who reviews their week every single week for a year can become unrecognizable by December. It's about consistency and it's about regular rhythms. Element 3, I love this one, measurement without emotion. This is one of the most important leadership skills that literally nobody talks about. Most people measure their progress through how they feel about it. A good week feels like momentum. I did great. And then a hard week feels like failure. Gosh, this was more difficult than I thought. But feelings aren't data. And managing your life by feelings alone is like driving only using your mood instead of your instruments. It's like only driving according to the weather as opposed to your clear map. Now, here's the reality. Measurement without emotion means that you look at the numbers without attaching a story to them. You've completed 4 of 7 tasks. Great. That's just data. That's not proof that you're failing. It doesn't say that, gosh, I didn't hit my goal. It's just information to act on, to iterate on, to continue to improve on. High-performing leaders separate the review from the judgment. This is important. They ask, what happened? Before they ask, what does this mean about me as a person? In fact, they hardly ever ask that question at all. Emotion, it definitely has a role in leadership. It fuels vision, but it should never be a tool that you use to evaluate your execution. Your key is to build a simple scorecard and then track the 3 most important weekly actions. And if you review it every week without drama, without emotion, and you adjust without shame, well, that's measurement without emotion. That's what you want. And that's a skill that you have to develop over time. Being able to look at the data and say, this is the truth. And what do I need to do about it now that I understand it? Now, if you've been listening to me or watching me for any length of time, you know that we don't just give you theory, because theory without application, that's just entertainment. And that's a fun way to spend 30 minutes, but we really want to help you get better. So let's make it real. Here's how you turn one goal into a system, just one goal. Now, you start by picking a single goal, the most important thing that you're trying to accomplish right now. Let's start there. Now, ask yourself with that goal 4 distinct questions. These are 4 systems questions. Question number 1, what is the daily or weekly action that if I do it consistently, this makes the goal inevitable? That's the goal question. Second question, what environment do I need to make the action easier? That's the environment question. Remove friction, design the space, prepare the night before. Systems live in environments. Number 3, what is one number I will track each week to know that I'm on course? That's the tracking question. Not 5 questions, just 1. Simplicity, that's what survives over the long term. Here's the 4th one. What is the trigger that tells me it's time to review and adjust? Not just quit, but actually adjust. That's the trigger question. Okay, so now that you have the questions in order to build the systems, it's important to look at your system consistently. The review makes a big difference. And so here's how you review your system every week. Now, your weekly review, it doesn't have to be complicated. It only, honestly, needs to be honest. So I'm going to give you 3 weekly review questions. Question number 1, what did I commit to last week and what actually happened? No questions, no excuses, no explanations, just the truth. Question number 2, what is one thing that I'll do differently this week based on what I learned last week? One adjustment, not a complete overhaul. Now, this one is unbelievably important because oftentimes when you make a mistake or you fall off the horse, people will throw the whole plan out. You spent all that time creating the plan and all that time creating the system, and then one mistake or it didn't go exactly like you thought, and you start again and you do something completely new. Well, the truth is the people who actually get to their destination, actually become something along the way, those are the ones who iterate over time. And so picking one thing to adjust on the thing that you've already decided to do is the best way to go forward, as opposed to tossing the entire plan out the window. Question number 3, what's my single most important focus this week? Write it down. Put it somewhere where you'll see it. Lead the week with intention, not reaction. Now, here's an important thing that you got to know when you're setting your goals. You've got to understand when to adjust and when to persist. And this is where most people honestly get it wrong. They quit when they should adjust, and then they persist when they honestly should just walk away and quit. So here's the distinction. Here's what you got to understand about adjustment and persistence. Adjust the method when the direction is right, but the approach isn't working. You're still going where you need to go. You're still going where you want to go. You're just taking a different road. On the other end, you should persist through discomfort when you're in the middle of something that is always going to be hard. It's going to be hard regardless of what you do. The most meaningful goals that you've ever set in your life have a valley. Same for me. And so quitting in the valley is truly the most expensive mistake that a leader can make. Quit the goal entirely only when the goal itself is no longer in alignment with who you're becoming. Not because it got too hard, not because you got tired, not because you were discouraged, but because the destination changed. You don't want to go there anymore. And that's a perfect time to walk away. And so ask yourself, am I struggling because this is hard? Or am I struggling because this is just wrong? Hard, that's survivable. Wrong, well, that's a completely different conversation entirely. So the big idea is this. As you're going through a difficult season, as you're pursuing your goal, you have 3 options. You can adjust because the challenge isn't so much the destination, but it's the method you're using to get there. You can persist because you know that this is a hard season and it's always going to be hard. Or you can just quit because the destination itself has moved. And there's no shame in quitting when you recognize the train that you're on isn't taking you where you actually want to go in the first place. All right, I want to leave you with this. Wishing is not leading. Hoping is not a strategy. And a vision without a system is just a dream that you revisit on New Year's Eve. Leaders, they build momentum. They don't wait for it. And momentum is not the product of just one great day. It's not even 2 great days. It's the product of enough ordinary days stacked on top of each other where you show up every time, where you did the work every time, and you refuse to negotiate with your own standards. Those are the standards, and that's what you're going to do on any given day. Consistency, it's not the most exciting leadership quality. Honestly, it's not. But it's the most rare. Anyone can be fired up in January. Anyone can post about their goals on the first day of the week. And you see it all the time. But the leader who's still executing in October, quietly, without an audience, behind the scenes, without an applause, by himself, by herself, in the rain, when no one's watching, that's the leader who wins. So build the system, run the rhythm, and measure honestly. And let consistency do what motivation never could and never should.